Let's begin today's webinar, Best Practices DocuSign for Procurement Teams. Today's speaker is Arif Faruqi, Procure-to-Pay Leader at DocuSign. Arif has over 15 years of experience in a variety of sourcing and procurement roles with an emphasis on policy definition, process improvement, project management, and tool implementation. Arif has implemented programs ranging from spend analysis, savings tracking, e-sourcing, contract management, catalog management, vendor master, business process outsourcing, and procure to pay. Thank you so much for joining us. Arif, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Alyssa. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day today. We hope you'll find this hour interesting and relevant to your function. As Alyssa mentioned, I've been in procurement operations role for most of my career, spanning over 15 years. I have led several improvement projects across source-to-pay spectrum throughout my career. At DocuSign, I lead the procurement operations function as well. I'm speaking to you today as a procurement professional who believes in paperless procurement process, which is also the core message of today's webinar, which is to take the paper out of the procurement process using the digital transaction management platform. So here are our agenda items. I'll start off with giving an overview of DocuSign, as all procurement professionals first want to ensure they're talking to a viable company. Then we'll get into how the macro trends are influencing DocuSign's direction and vision, and what are the pain points that we still see in the corporate world. Then we'll talk about the procurement opportunity with digital transaction management, a category that DocuSign has created. Then we'll get into how customers are using it today and how it can be used with many of the applications that you use today on a daily basis. Lastly, we'll give you the specific use cases and also cover legality of e-signatures, because trust me or not, that discussion topic always comes up. So we'll give you all the assurances there. So let's start out by giving you an overview of DocuSign. So we are a trusted brand. You may already have used us in your day-to-day or personal lives if you are not already using it in your business lives. So it's a trusted brand. We actually invented cloud-based e-signatures in 2003, about 12 years ago. And we have expanded our solution beyond e-signature to include any of your business transactions that still are not digital. We enable you to digitize entire end-to-end business process, or what is called digital transaction management. Because organizations are running mission-critical transactions, we provide the highest levels of availability and security capability in the industry. Next major point is that we are global. We have users in 188 countries, and they have DocuSigned. It is actually becoming a verb from that standpoint. Services are available in 43 languages. We have offices in San Francisco, our headquarters, Seattle, Chicago, London, Paris, Sydney, Sao Paulo, and many more to come. Japan is the next big one. Let's go into the next major point about our position in this industry. So we are a very obvious leader in e-signature and DTM category. We have over 1,000 paying customers. We are adding 40,000 new users daily. We are close to 1 million transactions daily, which are processed on our cloud network. 10 of the top 15 U.S. insurance carriers are our customers. 10 of the top 15 U.S. wealth management firms are our customers. We are number one with analysts such as Forrester, Gartner, Ombud. Actually, in Ombud's recent article, they mention that wet signatures will be antiquated by 2020. So something to think about. So let's start with the macro trends. What's going on around us, and where do we see digitization continue to expand? The heart of the matter is process efficiencies. Digitization is improving the efficiencies. We see that it's inevitable that we'll eliminate all paper from the business. We have been on this journey for 4 or 5 decades already. Office productivity apps took over the typewriters and paper. Then came about email, the system of records, such as line of business applications, our SAPs and Oracles of the world. Then the big web era, Web 1.0, and then Web 2.0 now. And now the mobile. We are on the verge of eliminating all paper. You can also see that in day-to-day lives, how companies are interacting with people or the new ways of interacting with people, whether it's e-commerce, taking a taxi, customer support, job interviews. Things are just moving towards a fully digital enterprise. So from the trends standpoint, let me give you a bit of animation here, which shows the huge increase in specifically around e-signature adoption and digital transaction management penetration from 2007 to today. So let me run this, and you'll see that the time changes, and with this time lapse, you'll see more and more blue dots appearing on the screen. So the huge concentration in U.S. and Europe, but in addition to significant inroads are also being made in portions of South America, Australia, and Asia. In other words, digital transactions are quickly spreading like wildfire. The blue dots that you see represent, like I said before, transactions conducted in DocuSign from a mobile device. A huge uptick since Apple released iPhone and iPad in late 2000s. That completely transformed this industry. We are building a network that enables frictionless business anytime, anywhere, any place, literally in every corner of the world. Okay, this is an eye-catching slide. So look at this collage. It gives you a good feeling, right? It is a picture which tells us that road to digitization is inevitable. So if you look back a few years, you will notice that idea of touch screen, space travel, robotic glasses or smart glasses as we call it today, driverless cars, and smartwatches were literally the stuff of science fiction. These futuristic movies were clearly ahead of their times, but inspired a wave of digital innovation. Today we see SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, Apple, Google on the forefront of these technological breakthroughs. There's also one common thread in all these movies, which you may not have caught so far. But let me tell you, there is no paper in these movies, let alone paper transactions. This goes back to the core message of this webinar, that paper is disappearing before our eyes. And we have a huge opportunity to take the paper out of procurement process. And for that matter, from all business transactions in your companies or in our companies, because from the procurement standpoint, we are the face to the innovation, suppliers, we are real keeping an eye on what's going on in the market and bringing those innovations and breakthrough technologies back to our business partners in manufacturing, HR, legal, sales. So from procurement standpoint, there's a huge opportunity, not only from procurement's own function standpoint, but how we can educate our business partners as their trusted advisors. So the key message again is that we need to be part of the future, which is now. So then again, let's get back to this slide. What is the problem we're trying to solve? And you see reams and reams of paper. And it is a very clear, present and clear sort of a problem that we see in our in many several industries. If I give you the stats here, look at this, that many different many different documents are getting still transacted through the paper. So while companies are aware of digital waves and have invested heavily in digital systems, they are still relying on paper to execute transactions. As a result, end-to-end business processes are disjointed. Microsoft as a company started using DocuSign just a little while ago, actually I think maybe a couple of years ago, and they were presenting at one of our flagship conferences, and they mentioned that before using DocuSign, they have so much paper within Microsoft that could be stacked up and could be parallel or equal to 3 times the size of Space Needle. So even with the technology companies, the back office functions are overlooked. So that's the message here, that we, as procurement professionals, we need to be able to bring our back office functions at par with what we represent to the world and to our communities. Okay, so we do hear our customers we do take our customers very seriously, and all our solutions start with customer needs. At DocuSign, we take the responsibility of listening to our customers seriously, like I said, and this slide displays some of the most common points of pain we hear in the procurement world. You see that here that we need to execute contracts faster, and from contracts, it means not just the final contract, but there are documents that come before that process, which is NDA signatures. Sometimes there's RFP needs to be signed in regulated industries. So there's many different use cases where the paper stops or becomes a bottleneck in the process. So executing the contract process faster is definitely the biggest value add from digital transaction management capability. Then the second point is we continue to hear we need to accelerate our procure-to-pay process. So while there are other major procure-to-pay enterprise applications available in the market, there's a very good play from DocuSign standpoint where it can be those applications can be extended to benefit from the capabilities that digital transaction management offers. Then it comes out to we need to streamline our operations. We are seeing from the companies that some things are getting digitally transacted, others are still on paper. Sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's more than that. So there's some sort of a gap in the understanding of how it can be used more efficiently. So this is where what we hear from our customers is how can we really take this digital transaction management capabilities and streamline our operations end to end. And then we need to increase satisfaction. Currently in this environment, social media is so active. If our customers, our end users are not getting a good experience using the procurement processes, which historically has been termed as a painful process, they would not just sit in their offices anymore. They would go on Glassdoor, chatter sites, or other social media places, and just vent their frustration there. And it does not bode well for the company itself because the company's brand does get affected. The talent the company is looking for to hire may get affected because of some of the unsatisfied employees. And then mobile is just all around us. It is the wave of the future. Actually, the future is now. So the appetite from the customers of transacting via mobile is huge, and we are so glad that we are at the forefront of it, and our solution is completely mobile. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Now that we have touched on the macro trends and what are some of the pain points and problems in the business environments, let's look at a typical enterprise and the need for fully digital enterprise. If you look on the left side, enterprises spend millions and millions of dollars, if not billions, on implementing the enterprise solutions. And when it's the moment of truth and transaction need to be completed, a process is stopped, a paper is printed out, and sent for signatures to complete that transaction. It's depicted here in this picture. So something is really wrong with this picture. As if you look at all the parties being transacted with on the right side of the picture, they also have vast empire of enterprise solutions, and they have most of their data in their digital platforms. So on both sides of the equation, there's data is stored digitally in databases. Yet a process stopped and it's printed on a paper and scanned and faxed to complete the transaction. So seems like we just need to think out of the box from that standpoint. And in my mind, transacting digitally between enterprises is the only answer to solve this problem and reduce the friction. And that's where it is. DTM. The answer to the problem is adopting digital transaction management can take care of all the bottlenecks and friction in the process, whether you're dealing with your consumers, your customers, your partners, your internal employees, or your suppliers. Okay, so what is digital transaction management? I know I've been throwing that term around quite a bit, so let's get a little deep into it so you get an appreciation of what digital transaction management is about. Our founder and our tech leaders quickly realized that businesses are looking for more than just the act of signing the documents. Our customers are interested in processes that precede and follow the final signatures. Customers want to ensure that these processes are safe and secure and available all the time, even after execution. With that in mind, the category of digital transaction management was coined, and the end-to-end framework was developed. So this picture shows DocuSign's digital transaction management platform. Many of the elements may look familiar to DocuSign users, including the DocuSign core services consisting of preparation of the documents, execution of the documents, and management steps around the digital transaction. The ability to integrate with CRM, ERP, HRM, or HRIS, and other critical business systems, and the ability to interact with customers, partners, suppliers, and other audiences is all built into digital transaction management platform. So if you look at the middle piece of it, there are 9 blocks in there, and e-signatures is at the heart of it. But it all starts with preparing a document using templates. Data can be inputted into those documents from your various systems. And then you can put a very robust workflow using DocuSign's workflow to route it to the right people who need to review and sign the document. And then if you need to understand who is the person, if this is the person who's signing the document is the person, you can build the authentication in that signature process, so that we provide many different types of authentication: knowledge-based authentication, access codes, email authentication, phone authentication. So many different ways of really closing that hole, if that's a hole in your mind, that how to authenticate the identity of the person who's signing the document. And then this act of signatures and the services which are above and beyond, which are ancillary to DocuSign capabilities. Towards the bottom half, you see the management of it, reporting. Once you have signed the documents, once you have it all executed, you can run some really intelligent reports about what has been signed, where it is stored, what is the end-to-end turnaround time of getting the document signed. And then compliance. This is a huge piece. That can you really verify that everybody who needed to sign really signed it? And also just all the audit trail is digitally available. And last but not least, the retention, which in my mind is probably the biggest value add, because every time I execute a document, and in my past careers, I have not been able to locate it 2 weeks after I've signed it. It goes on some shared repositories, and when you need it the most, you are just looking for it all over the place. So in this case, anything that is signed in DocuSign stays in that DocuSign stored repositories, secured repositories. So one more point on this slide, which is the building of DocuSign Trust Foundation. The idea around that is that DocuSign is implemented with a bank-grade security and carrier-grade availability. So making sure that your critical information is safe and secure and always available. It is ensuring enforceability of e-signatures and working to ensure it is the global standard, all on an open source foundation. And the last point on this slide, I wanted to point out that another big element is administration and control module. So enabling you with the tools to manage and monitor your business transactions being conducted on the digital transaction management platform. By managing your transactions digitally, you have much better visibility and control compared to the legacy methods of conducting them. And then there's transaction rooms as well, which provides the virtual areas and gives you a feel of a ceremony, signing ceremony, if your customers, suppliers, and prospects are required to engage with each other before they actually sign the document. So because of that digital transaction management platform, that's one of the biggest reasons that DocuSign is the gold standard in this industry and the leader in this space. It is the easiest to use product, whether it's your web browser. We are plugged into every browser, every major browser, and make it really easy to notify you based on from your desktops what is waiting for your signatures. And it's the most powerful platforms. We have data centers not only in U.S., but also in Europe and expanding into other parts of the world. We have the leading security certifications and platform, which ensures that your most critical documents are safe and secure. And you are the only one who can look at them. We have the richest partner ecosystem. As I mentioned before, there are many applications that you use on a day-to-day basis. We may already be integrated with those applications. So in the industry, we are sort of a Switzerland of application, if you will. We are partners with every major software platform. And then we have world-class customer programs, ranging from our hosting our customers on our world-class conferences to ensuring that they are getting all the all the success tips from our trained customer service architects. So moving on about how we have delivered value to our customers. So there are three major facets and opportunity areas. So as a result of streamlining the business processes, customers have realized unprecedented value in three key areas: return on investment, customer experience, and compliance. So here are three examples, some major brand names. From the return on investment standpoint, Virgin Holidays benefited from single unified filing and management of purchasing and HR contracts, and eliminated the overhead cost or material cost of £10,000 per year. And processing of purchasing contracts was cut down from 2 hours to less than 10 minutes. Customer experience. We talked about Microsoft a little bit. So this is where Microsoft is our partner from application platform standpoint, as well as our customer as well. And this is where their testimonial comes about, that DocuSign has helped our customers improve their business processes and increase productivity. And about the compliance piece of it. As I mentioned before in the earlier slides, that we have all the top wealth management firms, top financial services firms, customers of DocuSign. So this is where it comes to this is the point we wanted to make, that those are the companies that are really, really serious about their security. So this is another testimonial from Magna, that we really like the security features. Plus now documents are traceable, which is huge, and we have visibility into where everything is in signing process. You can actually even view even check that if somebody has viewed the document and not signed it, maybe they have a question, and you can pick up the phone and call them about their concerns. So some of the use case highlights. Again, some of the top brand names. You can see HP, 93% improvement in turnaround time. Ariba, who's one of the major players in the procurement space, actually uses DocuSign within their internal operations to get their business done, as well as they have integrated DocuSign within their application platform. And then you can see other names, Tata, which is one of the biggest professional services company, how their procurement process have been improved, Magna, and then IntelliCap, who actually puts a number on their experiences and the customers that they work with, how they have benefited from DocuSign platform. Based on what their research is, that they have found enterprises slashing procurement processing costs by up to $50 per document and reducing contract turnaround by as much as 65 days with DocuSign. And then McKesson, which is again in the regulated industry space, how they've used it and how they've benefited from DocuSign platform. So a wide range of customers. You can see from within every industry, the top players are our customers and our partners as well. So in communication world, we have T-Mobile, Comcast as part of our flagship customers. In real estate, pretty much we have dominated the entire real estate industry. In healthcare, most of the big pharma companies and biotech companies are our customers. And then financial services is a huge, huge vertical for us. And here is the partner ecosystem. So just dovetailing on the point that I made earlier about biggest ecosystem and how we are already integrated with the applications that you use on a daily basis. So this is the point that with DocuSign, you don't have to think about those long projects and long project journeys. We are very sort of a short trip type of implementation projects. Either you can turn it on in your existing platforms. In this picture, you would see Ariba, SAP, Aptus, Oracle, who have procurement solutions which you might be using it. So these are all already integrated. And if you are not using those systems, then you can use DocuSign standalone. And if you think that maybe the integration timeline take a little while, even if you have Aribas or SAPs of the world, then start using standalone and integrate when the time is right. But the integration is very simple and basic integration. These are not the projects that last months. It may last weeks. In other words, this is probably the fastest return on investment project that you have worked on. Plus, it provides huge user satisfaction numbers from user satisfaction standpoint. Okay, so I needed to plug this in. As a business owner of procure-to-pay process and solutions at DocuSign, I just wanted to share with you how we use DocuSign at DocuSign. So efficient signing processes is the first one, obviously, and procurement signatures process is completely digital. The team does not have to endure a lengthy paper-based process in order to request and receive signatures for supplier NDAs and agreements. With DocuSign procurement signature process is actually just one step, reduced from maybe 6+ steps in a typical NDA or contract signing process. The turnaround time of documents has greatly decreased, and DocuSign has cut down days in the signature process. This means that projects can be started earlier, adding time and money on each project. Then there's ability to locate documents. Like I said before, once the document is executed, it sometimes finds a place in somebody's drawer or hard drive, or sometimes some network folder or some SharePoint folder. So it becomes very hard to locate the document when you actually need that document. So one of the biggest benefits of DocuSign is procurement's ability to find all important documents. And they are not just final contracts. Any order forms attached to that final agreement, any of the MSAs attached to that agreement, any of the NDAs, all are available and in one record for that particular vendor. So you can have visibility into all your documents. I think that is huge. And even if the signed documents are moved to another repository or contact management systems, so say if the document was transacted or signed using DocuSign and then later moved to Ariba or a Oracle system for document retention because that's your enterprise source of truth, you would always find a copy in DocuSign. So if due to any matter, if there may be data redundancy reasons, you may want to keep a copy in DocuSign or just as a backup so that you can always have a place to go to when you're looking for your important documents. The next major point is ease of tracking and management. So with my personal experience with DocuSign, procurement has complete visibility into where, when, and who has signed each document and can send reminders to reduce any delays in the contract process. Procurement can now effectively manage multi-signer agreements, especially its NDA documents, which involve hundreds of supplier signatures at times. So this is actually a real example. If you go out and look for hotel rates or good hotel rates or go out for a hotel RFP, you may, if it's a global RFP, you may have hundreds of hotels participating in that RFP. So without DocuSign, I can't even imagine how we can get the signatures in NDA documents signed from hundreds of vendors or suppliers or hotels in this case in a timely fashion in order to move forward. And think of it from our customer standpoint. When they are looking to sign the deals with these hotels, they when they're told that, you have to get the NDA signed from these multiple hundreds of vendors, they almost have a fit. So now with this type of experience, it's much easier to make both parties happy, supplier, procurement, actually three parties, and our business partners. And then DocuSign provides a procurement with an audit trail of all signatories, allowing the DocuSign, the company, to stay in compliance. And then last but not least, errors eliminated. The errors associated with the contract process are 100% removed. DocuSign document preparation no longer involves multiple cycles to make corrections, as procurement is able to create standard templates that can be utilized for agreements. So those template features huge. All your contract summaries, highlights where you need to put those summary memos before the contract can be signed, can all be automated within DocuSign and can be routed for signatures before or approvals internally before actually somebody signs the dotted line. So those were the points. I just wanted to give you my personal experiences with DocuSign as well. 5.5 times faster turnaround times, signature process reduced from 6+ steps to 1, and almost all the errors that we see in the document management and preparation are almost eliminated, and we are at 100% compliance there. So let's move to the topic of how enforceable and legal the DocuSign signatures are. So like I said before at the start of the webinar, that we do hear this question from time to time that, okay, we get it that everything is all working and it's easy and customers are happy using this, but is it even legal? What if somebody takes me to the court? How can I really prove that this is the person who signed this document is the person? So the valid question becomes, hey, is a DocuSign signature, is the DocuSign signature valid, and is it valid in my country? So put another way, will a contract signed using DocuSign be enforced the same way as a hand-signed document? So let's look at the answer. Yes, obviously a resounding yes. The reason is that in almost all cases it is a yes because we can prove it. So DocuSign may be used to execute agreements between parties anywhere in the world, maybe except in a small number of narrow use cases. And I'll get into this after covering these couple slides, that where it may not be applicable. And then, in fact, it is operating under the U.S. law passed back in 2000 to facilitate the use of electronic records and e-signatures in domestic and foreign commerce transactions. The law is called U.S. E-Signature Act. So we are working and operating under that U.S. E-Signature Act. And then DocuSign's audit trail for the signature of each document is better than the evidence behind a simple written signature and should be sufficient to enforce an otherwise valid agreement. So here you see this, that this is a paper record. This is what you get with the paper record, right? Just a signature, and you can't even tell who signed it, what's the name of the person who signed it, and a date. And this is what you get with DocuSign. A date and a timestamp, your email address, the IP address where you signed it from. And then if you want to go above and beyond, this is where you can even add more authentication options in that signing process. So a user, before they open the document, they are given a password through a different channel which they have to enter to open a document. Or they have to call somebody and get a phone authentication before, call a number to get authenticated before they can open the document. Or they're asked knowledge-based authentication questions that only they know, that what is the first school you attended or what is the first car you drove after college. So something to that tune. And then witness signing, digital certificate validation. So that's all part of DocuSign's offering and portfolio, and make this process complete foolproof and bulletproof capability. So the message is keep calm and transact digitally. And we are always willing to support our customers or any signature validity issues. And we all know that customers are not shy about asking for help either whenever they need it. So the numbers on the left side, what you see there is in entire DocuSign's history, of the 126 million successful transactions, we have only had one instance in which a customer actually asked for help, and where the case went to the court. And you'll be surprised to see, actually won't be surprised to see what the judge said, which is because the documents were signed electronically through a company called DocuSign, plaintiffs were able to show the precise moments that these documents were created electronically, delivered, and signed. So the validity of signatures is generally not challenged. The reality is that fundamentally, this is a risk management issue. If companies are willing to accept most ink-signed paper documents with limited to no proof that who signed it, isn't it less risky to have a transaction and signing process that is provable, secure, and always available when you need it? So what's the real challenge here? I just want to probe a little bit here. So customers may be asking about legality and acceptance, but this is not really a legal issue. It's mostly cultural resistance. And we do understand that it is not easy. Disruption never is. There's cultural resistance to adoption. But there are many examples of previous disruptive technologies that face these challenges, such as ATMs and many others. So again, we are trying our best to make sure that by operating under the e-signature laws, proving that DocuSign has a better compliant and better audit trail, and has a clear value on the table, it becomes a very compelling story for thinking beyond the wet signatures. We definitely do believe that DocuSign can help pave the path towards your digital destiny. So this is pretty much the situation at this point that's getting balanced. But at some point, I would see this picture, and not very far in the future, where it's inevitable. That is the only way to sign a document or transact a document or your final business transaction. Again, going back to the futuristic movie examples, if that's any proof or gives us any guidance, this is where we are headed towards. There is the paper would become part of the history and disappear before our eyes, and digital signatures would be the only way to conduct business. The question is, would you be the first adopters, or would be the last ones to adopt this technology? So this is a pretty loaded slide. However, the message here is that DocuSign solution is certified by all leading security standards in the world. In fact, we are pioneers and leaders in driving new standards through our own XDTM consortium, which have all the luminaries in the security world part of it. And then I promised you that I'll talk about some of the exceptions where electronic signatures may not be applicable. So in each country, there will be some special categories of documents for which an electronic signature might not work. But that is a very thin slice of the overall document pie. So an example would be the marriage certificates in Germany may require in-person signatures in front of somebody. So those are the type of things that we see where it may not be applicable. But Otherwise, almost all use cases can be signed using the DocuSign solutions. And DocuSign do offer electronic signatures as well as digital signatures, which incorporate your digital identity on top of the electronic signature experience. So most, say even if your 95 to 99% of the documents can be transacted with the DocuSign, and maybe 1 or 2% still can be, you are still 99% better off than where you were before starting the DocuSign journey, which is a good number. So now bringing it back home, just maybe a couple more slides to cover. So how the procurement can take advantage and start using it as soon as possible, or tomorrow for that matter. So there are many ways we can look at the use of DTM across the procurement processes, starting all the way from sourcing and vendor management, RFP management, competitive procurement summaries. So this is a list of examples, and again, it may not be applicable in your area, but these are all the live examples that our customers are currently using. So you may say that, why do I need a purchase requisition or purchase order process using DocuSign when I have Ariba's of the world and other major procurement systems being used? So the answer is that not everybody is at the same journey as you are. Maybe there are companies who are scaling to that level where they are thinking about implementing P2P systems, but they are not there yet. So in those cases, they can use just a DocuSign application and console to create the purchase order, purchase requisition templates, put the right approval workflows on it, and then route it for signatures. And they have one place to see where all the purchase requisitions and orders are, and who approved them, and who committed the company for a certain amount of dollars, which is actually a big concern in small to mid-sized companies, that a lot of times people just pick up the phone and order things, and there's no upfront approvals. So with this, even at any size of the company, there's some sort of a purchasing process that can be put in place, which can later be integrated and embedded into a bigger, more robust or full-on type of a P2P system. Then on the left side, you see RFP management, sole source justification. So that, again, could be industry specific and could be just a best practice and hygiene type of an item that you want to implement in your companies, that once the RFPs, before the RFPs go out, you get signatures and approvals from the right parties that this is the final RFP, our requirements are solid, and we have like your seal of approval before it goes out in the market. And when the summaries come back, you do the bid analysis. There's sometimes multiple parties making the decision that who wins the final contract. So at that point, it can be routed for signatures and approvals. And once your competitive summaries are approved, at that point you award the contract. And then sole source justification, a huge item in any of the regulated industry and the public sector, where competitive bidding is not a choice. It is a requirement, a big requirement. So if there's a reason that sole source supplier is being given an award or a contract, at that time you need to really get it signed and approved by all the way to CFOs and CEOs of the company to make sure that it is all kosher and that supplier can continue to work on without competitive bidding. So just a few examples, but I'm sure there are probably more than these, but these are the ones that are being used today, and I wanted to give you ideas about where you can start the journey. And different depiction of the same slide. Maybe we have put it in a 2x2 matrix and added a little bit more child type of processes here as well, such as change orders, which comes after the purchase order creation. So return on investment is on the left side, and implementation speed is on the bottom axis. So here you have it. There are certain things that you can implement tomorrow. It's that simple. And maybe most of your end users have already used DocuSign in their personal lives, so it becomes even more compelling case or simpler change management exercise to get this rolled out. And as I said before, that not all use cases are created equal. Some have more applicability in your areas, and some you may think, why the purchase order is here? Why this? Because some other things are here that I don't need. So you don't need to use those, but the ones that are applicable to you can be worked out in terms of how quickly it can be implemented, and you can start using it and get some user satisfaction levels up and get real ROI achieved using these processes. And then the final takeaway, which is going back to my first slide at the start of this webinar, that we are poised to take the paper out of the procurement process, and it is inevitable at some point in a very near future. And if there's one more thing I would like you to remember from this discussion is that the 80-20 rule. So I know most of the procurement professionals follow the 80-20 rule pretty religiously, because 80% of the spend is usually with 20% of the suppliers, and that's where we want to focus to get the biggest bang for the buck. But in this case, 80-20 rule means that by implementing DocuSign or digital transaction management platform, you'll reduce the turnaround time by 80%, which is, again, all proven out and was reported by Ombud e-signature report, which can bring up to a $20 average savings per document. Again, all depends on how you transact your documents today. If you are doing a lot of faxing, a lot of overnighting, and then receiving and spending a lot of time reviewing the documents, and again, if there are errors on the document, sending it back and then receiving it. So just getting out of that cycle would reap to or result in up to $20 of savings per document. And these numbers are validated by external companies as well. And if you like, we can work with you and understand your business processes as well through our customer service architects and give you that number that may be more justified and relevant to you. So that's all I had to cover today. In DocuSign, you finally have found a solution that is easy to implement and can make your end user's life really good and better. So with that, thank you very much for joining the webinar today. I think we are open for questions. I will pass it back to Alyssa, who can look at the question list, and we can do some of the question and answers in the time that is left.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation, Arif. And as a reminder, you may submit questions to the Q&A function located in the lower right side of your console. I see that some have already come in, so let's start with this one. What kind of training do you provide for new customers?
So there's many different programs available to our customers. We believe in customer satisfaction fully. We have DocuSign University. We have resource centers. We have customer service architects who can develop customized training programs for your function and processes. So a whole range of choices to pick from. So that's a good news.
Great. And it looks like we do have a couple questions regarding integration. So we'll go with the broader one. Can you integrate DocuSign with other systems?
Yes, definitely yes. A big resounding yes there. So it's an open source system. We have developed many APIs which are very easy to plug and play into any systems. On the major systems, we already are integrated, such as SAP's, Oracle, Salesforce, Microsoft, Aptus, Ariba. So I think Coupa is also integrated. So many of them, you'll find that it's just a plug and play or a turn on feature in your existing system. And the others, if you're using some homegrown systems or any other systems which are not maybe yet partnered with us, we can provide you the very easy to follow manuals and help out with the integrations. The good news is it's a matter of weeks, not even in some cases. It's not a long trip or a long journey where you'll be on this project for months or years to roll out.
Great, and it looks like we do have time for just one more question. Do you have any white papers or materials we can provide our legal department regarding the validity of e-signature or suggested policies to put into place regarding e-sign?
Yes, we have very rich content around that, and we have it available in our resource centers. And if you reach out to us with your specific questions, we can point you in the right direction and give you the links of where all the material is available, as well as we can have a dialogue with your legal teams as well. We do hear that question from time to time about legal group wanting to know more about the authenticity of e-signatures. So we have the whole function dedicated to that sort of clarity, so to provide that sort of clarity to our customers. So please reach out to us, send us an email. We'll point you in the right direction.
Fabulous. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for questions. For those of you with questions we have not addressed, please email them to webinar@docusign.com, and we'll be happy to follow up with you after today's presentation. I would like to thank Arif Faruqi and each of you for attending today. We will be sending you a follow-up email after this presentation with contact information as well as a link to the recorded webinar. Again, thank you all for participating and have a great remainder of the day.